Today we're going to talk about modes. When I think of a mode, I think of how each note relates to the tonic, the one chord. This relationship between the tonic and the other notes in the scale creates a sound, an interval relationship, that is used in all music that we hear and create. The tonic is like the sun or a gravity, always pulling each note towards itself. In order to create a modal sound, it's important to have a strong presence of the one chord, the tonic. This can best be demonstrated by using a pedal tone on the bass, then building chords over the top that center around the tonic chord, and then creating a melody that uses the same notes. This isn't the only way, but this is a good way. Here's an example. We'll use the C major scale, known as the Ionian Mode, using the notes C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and these would relate to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the key chart. What does this sound like? Well, C is the tonic, the sun. If we look at the intervals between each note, we have a D note, which is a major second, an E note, which creates a major third, an F note, creating a perfect fourth, a G note, perfect fifth, A note, major sixth, B note, a major seventh. Those notes and their interval relationship to C will create an Ionian sound. Here's another idea. If we stacked these notes like a chord instead of a scale, and we stacked them like a chord, it would be C, E, G, B, D, F, A. We could call this a C major 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th chord. So the Ionian mode sounds like a C major 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th. This would be the definition of Ionian on paper. Quite useless to talk about until we actually hear it though. So I'm going to create an Ionian jam. First thing I'll do is I'll use a bass pedal tone, just playing a C note, a low C note. This helps create a strong gravity pull towards C. Second, I'll use a chord sequence that keeps coming back to a C major chord. In this case, I'm just going to use the 1 chord, the 2 minor chord, the 3 minor chord, and back to the 2 minor chord. So C major, D minor, E minor, back to D minor. This is just a useful progression because it uses all the notes in the scale. And I'll just repeat this in a 4-bar loop. And then thirdly, I'm just going to play a melody, but it'll just be the scale going over the top. That's the sound of Ionian. Okay, now let's look at the Dorian mode. The scale notes are C, D, E flat, F, G, A, and B flat. That's a 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. What does this sound like? Well, now the C is the tonic, the sun, the gravity, and if we look at the intervals between each note in the scale against the C, we have a D, which is a major second, an E flat, which is a minor third, an F, which is a perfect fourth, a G, which is a perfect fifth, an A, which is a major sixth, and a B flat, which is a minor seventh. If we stacked these notes like a chord, C, E flat, G, B flat, D, F, A, we could call this a C minor 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th chord. So, the Dorian mode sounds like a C minor 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th. This would be the definition of Dorian on paper. But what does it actually sound like? Let's make a Dorian jam. Again, I'm going to use a pedal tone, same pedal tone on the C note. I'll use a chord sequence that keeps coming back to the C minor chord and adjust it to the C Dorian scale. Chords would be C minor, D minor, E flat major, D minor, and loop these 4 bars. And then I'll play the C Dorian scale over the top. This is what Dorian sounds like. Now let's look at the Phrygian mode. The scale notes are C, D flat, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat. A 1, a flat 2, a flat 3, 4, 5, a flat 6, a flat 7. What does this sound like? C minor is the tonic, the sun, the gravity, and if we took all the intervals between each note against that C note, we'd have a D flat, which is a minor second, very important for Phrygian, an E flat, which is a minor third, makes it a minor chord, an F, perfect fourth, a G, perfect fifth, an A flat, a minor sixth sound, and B flat, a minor seventh. If we stacked these notes in thirds, we'd have C, E flat, G, B flat, D flat, F, A flat. And we could call this a C minor seventh, flat 9, 11, flat 13. So the Phrygian mode sounds like a C minor seventh, flat 9, 11, flat 13. This would be the definition of Phrygian on paper. But what does it actually sound like? Again, use the same pedal tone on the C note to create a good gravity. Use a chord sequence that keeps coming back to the C minor chord, but use the C Phrygian chords. C minor, D flat major, E flat major, D flat major. Loop this. Play the C Phrygian scale over the top for a melody. That's the sound of Phrygian. Now let's look at the Lydian mode. The scale notes are C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, and B. 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6, and 7. What does this sound like? Well, C major is the tonic, the sun, the gravity, and if we look at the intervals between each notes against that C, we have a D, a major second, an E, a major third, an F sharp, which is a sharp fourth or flat 5, a G, which is a perfect fifth, an A, which is a major 6, and B, which is a major 7th. If we stack these notes like a chord, we have C, E, G, B, D, F sharp, A. We could effectively call this a C major 7th, 9th, sharp 11, 13 chord. So the Lydian mode on paper sounds like a C major 7th, 9th, sharp 11th, 13th. Of course, that doesn't do us any good without hearing it, so here's a Lydian jam. I'm going to use the same C bass pedal tone. I'm going to adjust my chord sequence so now it fits into the C Lydian scale. So I'll do a C major chord, a D major chord, an E minor chord, D major chord. Loop this, and I'll play the C Lydian scale over the top for a melody. That's the sound of Lydian. Next, we'll look at the Mixolydian mode. The scale notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B flat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. What does this sound like? With C as the tonic, the sun, the gravity. If we look at all the intervals and how they pull against that C note, we have a D, which is a major second, an E, which is a major third, an F, which is a perfect fourth, a G, which is a perfect fifth, an A, which is a major sixth, and a B flat, which is a minor 7th, creating that dominant sound. If we stack these notes like a chord, C, E, G, B flat, D, F, A, we could effectively call this a C7, 9, 11, 13 chord, which is a dominant chord. So the Mixolydian sounds like C7th, 9th, 11th, 13th. This would be the definition of Mixolydian on paper. Let's do a jam. Same C pedal tone. I'll use the chord sequence, adjust it to the Mixolydian scale, so that'll give me a C major chord, a D minor chord, an E diminished chord, back to D minor. Loop this. I'll play the Mixolydian scale over the top. That's the sound of Mixolydian. The next mode is the Aeolian Mode. The scale notes are C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat. 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. What does this sound like? With C as the sun, as the gravity. Each interval sounds like a D, which is a major second, an E flat, which is a minor third, an F, which is a perfect fourth, a G, which is a perfect fifth, an A flat, which is a minor sixth, and a B flat, which is a minor seventh. We could stack this like a chord in thirds: C, E flat, G, B flat, D, F, A flat. We could call this a C minor 7th, 9th, 11th, flat 13 chord. So the Aeolian mode sounds like a C minor 7th, 9th, 11th, flat 13th chord. That would be the definition of Aeolian on paper. But what does it actually sound like? Same pedal tone with C, chord sequence adjusted to Aeolian, C minor, D minor, E flat major, D minor, loop this, C Aeolian scale over the top. That's the sound of Aeolian. Last and certainly least is the Locrian mode. The scale notes are C, D flat, E flat, F, G flat, A flat, B flat. 1, flat 2, flat 3, 4, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. What does this sound like? With C as the tonic, the sun, the gravity. Each interval against the C, D flat is a minor second, E flat is a minor third, F is a perfect fourth, G flat is a flat 5, A flat is a minor sixth, B flat is a minor seventh. If we stack these notes like a chord, we get C, E flat, G flat, B flat, D flat, F, A flat. This would be called a C half diminished 7th, flat 9, 11th, flat 13th chord. So the Locrian mode sounds like a half diminished 7th, flat 9, 11, flat 13. That's Locrian on paper. Let's hear what it sounds like. Same C pedal tone. I'll adjust my chords, starting with a C diminished chord to a D flat major chord to an E flat minor chord to a D flat major chord, loop this, C Locrian over the top. That's the sound of Locrian. Well, I hope this helps explain the sound of each mode. Now I want you guys to create a modal jam. So remember, use a bass pedal tone, a simple chord sequence that uses all 7 notes in the scale, and then come up with a melody or just play the scale over the top, but make sure that melody has all 7 notes in the scale, especially the juicy ones, the ones that exploit the modal sound. Try to really emphasize those. And just have fun with it.